Hello everyone, and welcome to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special with your hosts Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson.
Hello and welcome from me, Curtis Hutchinson and Philip Nothard, to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special. We've got an exclusive interview to share with you today, as this episode is dedicated to motors and how it's relaunching Cazoo as an all-new dealer-focused used car marketplace with a brand new website. Listeners will remember how Cazoo launched in late 2019 as an alternative online used car buying service. It grew rapidly through a series of acquisitions, supported by some heavyweight consumer advertising, before it overreached and went into receivership last year. The Cazoo brand, but none of its assets, was acquired by Motors in June 2024, with an all-new marketplace app debuting last summer ahead of the new website launched on the 2nd of April. So joining us to talk about this new phase for Cazoo is Motors CEO Barry Judge and COO Phil Jones. So welcome both to the Motor Trade Radio podcast at what must be an exciting but extremely busy time for the business.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Great to be here.
Hi, it's great to be back.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you both on.
Yeah, no, welcome to the podcast, Barry. I know this is the first time for yourself, and Phil, as you say there, welcome back. It's been a while. So let's start with the Motors acquisition of Cazoo. And we know that Cazoo originally came to the market with a huge fanfare and a lot of financial backing, and as a direct-to-consumer digital car buying service in competition with those dealers, as we remember at the time. It failed in its mission. So what was the attraction of acquiring the brand for yourself, Barry?
No, I think it's a good question and a good starting point. There's a couple of reasons. Firstly, Cazoo is one of the top automotive brands in the UK. It has very high consumer awareness from both our own internal research and from external studies. We concluded that maybe about 6 in 10 people in the UK are aware of Cazoo as a destination for buying a car. It has built high levels of positive perception and trust in its time, and from a pure branding perspective, it's achieved something phenomenal, right? Literally becoming a household name and over a period of 12 months. So we bought the Cazoo brand because it would have taken us years and a significant level of investment to achieve something similar with Motors. So I think that is the first reason for the acquisition. Since the acquisition, it was a bit of an experiment. So we ran many tests once we had the brand. And what we quickly discovered was that the Cazoo brand responded very positively to marketing spend. So for every pound spent on marketing for Cazoo, the response and returns are much more efficient than a pound spent on a brand with lower levels of awareness. So Cazoo responds more efficiently than Motors to marketing spend. Put simply, this was the confidence we needed and proved to us that, the efficiencies of the Cazoo brand were driven by its enormous awareness, which we thought then would result in huge demand side gains for our dealers. So taking that Cazoo brand with very high levels of awareness and reach, and then knowing that it translates into high levels of efficiency from marketing spend, and then connecting it to, I would say, the heritage that Motors has accumulated over the last 17 years. So by contrast, I guess Motors has much lower brand presence in the UK, but Motors has a tremendous supply side legacy. So the business has almost 20 years of building experience and expertise in pure play marketplaces. Motors has strong relationships with the dealer community, with almost 6,000 dealer accounts, over 300,000 listings. So our intention is to plug the heritage of motors into the super brand that's Cazoo. And we believe that this is a powerful formula for supercharging growth, and with that, driving considerably higher levels of response for our dealers in the UK. So to be clear, then we bought the Cazoo brand. Like I think, like you mentioned in your intro, we didn't buy the technology or the old Cazoo business model. Cazoo's old tech and business model was not fit for our purpose. We have no intention of retailing vehicles. We'll deploy Cazoo based on our strengths, which is as a pure play marketplace. So using Cazoo brand combined with Motors heritage to supercharge both volume and quality of leads for our dealers.
And I suppose, Barry, as a sort of follow up to that, and you mentioned that about Cazoo's brand awareness, and it's still considered still high amongst those consumers. Do you think there's still a bit of any residual negativity towards it from dealers? And if there is, how will you be addressing that as you move forward?
When you look, maybe if I take a step back and I look at Europe, US, further afield, you see, very strong marketplace competition, and dealers have alternatives. Dealers can move spend to compete in marketplaces if the leader is aggressive on pricing. I would say that the UK is an anomaly. It's dominated by a single player, and dealers have grown reliant on that player. As a result, that marketplace has considerable pricing power. Now, to be honest, if I was a dealer, I would be much more upset about this predicament and would be much more focused on reducing my reliance on a single channel for the majority of my leads. If Cazoo brand, which is under new management, using a new model, backed by new people, if that can drive greater response and reduce my reliance on a single source for leads, I think any negativity that I would have or exist would disappear quickly. I think this is a fresh start for the Cazoo brand and for dealers and their relationship with it. It's a completely different business model that's exciting for dealers because they want leads and to sell cars efficiently. And I actually think I believe this is what Cazoo is going to deliver.
And Phil, a question for you. What's the positioning and future for Motors as a marketplace now that Cazoo has effectively become the flagship brand in the Motors network, which also contains eBay, Gumtree, and Parker's?
Yeah, so Motors remains an important part of the network, so we'll keep it live as a website. One of our key philosophies has always been about giving dealers exposure across the internet. We've always had a network, and Motors remains a key part of that and is a real powerhouse for generating leads. My take on this is Cazoo adds another shop window in our portfolio, and one with high awareness and significant growth potential. So you take kind of that existing traffic base and response base that Motors has, and you overlay something new and exciting in Cazoo. And then the interesting angle is, we could take all those expertise and kind of learnings from Motors over the years, maybe mistakes we've learned along the way, and and inject those into Cazoo, so that we're launching kind of with a best of breed marketplace. So we believe that this fulfills on the vision of a more dynamic advertising ecosystem, lots of different websites where car buyers at various stages of their car buying journey can come across a dealer who's advertising with us online.
And bearing that in mind, would it not have been made more sense to simply reverse Cazoo into Motors? And was that ever a consideration?
Yeah, so we looked at lots of options when acquiring the brand. One of the learnings I'd say is that sometimes people who sit on leadership teams maybe shouldn't make technology decisions, because we talk about things like copying and pasting websites, and apparently that's not really a thing. But it was very well thought through. A few sort of particulars, like from a traffic perspective, it's not a case of 1 + 1 = 2. So if you collapse two websites into one, you don't always end up with more traffic.
Yeah.
So you have to play to kind of the search engine gods. Motors also does have its own kind of base of users and kind of its own purpose. But a big driver for us was technology. Motors performs really well, but it is an older site, and we had an opportunity to start with a blank canvas with the latest technology. And that was the recommendation from our team, was that it would probably take you slightly longer to reverse fit the Motors platform. And actually, if you started with new technology, you actually get some long-term advantages in speed and innovation. So Motors plays a massive part in the know-how in terms of how to present dealer stock, how to optimize for leads and quality leads. And it's worth saying, with the addition of the app, it's been like growing a second pair of lungs, because the app is also built on brand new technology. And once it's up and running, the speed at which we can adapt and develop is significantly better. And so it's a really meaningful investment. This stuff is expensive, but I think it's a really smart one because it's made with a multi-year view of launching and iterating. So the website isn't finished when we're launching it. It's there is going to be significantly more work going onto it, but with a fresh technology base, you get a real chance to kind of double down. And then also we can use Motors and the app and the Cazoo website as benchmarks against each other, see which is doing well in which area, where another site could be optimized or improved, which has always been a benefit of the network, to try and understand, is it the market or is it us, where the development opportunities, we think that makes us smarter.
And will the parent business still be called Motors in your dealer-facing activities?
Yes, definitely for now. I think we still have an important period to go through in getting dealers and everyone in the industry to understand that Cazoo is part of the Motors business. We are not the Cazoo business. We're the Motors business. We're the business that has been, around nearly 20 years selling advertising to car dealers. It's the same people. It's the same vision, just with significantly more investment. So we've been through a few brands. We're a bit like Trigger's Broom in that respect, but ultimately it's the same vision, right? Which is help dealers generate cost-effective advertising across the internet, across multiple websites.
And Barry, I mean, turning to yourself here now, in the press coverage announcing the relaunch, you make some bold claims about being a serious challenger to the market leader. I mean, that's a big ambition, and one that dealers have heard from other aggregators over the years. How do you plan to achieve that now?
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. I believe we can be the undisputed challenger to the current market leader. We're doing something no one else has done before. We're not just launching another marketplace or aggregator, as you say. We're supercharging an already strong and established business by plugging it into a household brand, which is Cazoo. So that established heritage of motors joining, that household name, which is Cazoo. So I personally think we're creating something unique. It's a starting point that no other aggregator or marketplace has had in the past, not only in the UK, but I think further afield, international markets. Number twos chasing number ones have never started from the position that we're in. So with Cazoo joining Motors alongside, a network of brands like eBay, Gumtree, and Parker's, dealers benefit from strong brand recognition, massive reach across multiple sites, and major marketing, along with a major marketing investment. So I think these are the things that give me confidence in our ambition.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting times, Barry. We'll be back after this short break with more from the relaunch of Cazoo shortly.
You're listening to a Motor Trade Radio supplier special.
So, Barry, another question for you, and this is really looking at the website, because the all-new Cazoo website, launched on the 2nd of April, is, as Phil said, very much the start. It's version 1. Does this suggest it'll be a work in progress?
Yes, yeah, that's right. This is the first iteration of the website with what we deem the most essential features. Um, this version 1 won't have everything we want on day one, and we're fully aware of that. But we know it's a journey, and the new Cazoo will take continuous effort and progress to get it to where we want it to be. It's it's important to draw a line in the sand and to get the product in the market, to start connecting buyers with dealers at scale and building traffic, building momentum. We can build additional features and functionality as we scale, as we move forward. Like Phil mentioned, Cazoo is built, both the web and the app are built using new technology. So it gives us confidence that we can move at pace and get those features out quite quickly. So yeah, I think we're pretty excited with the starting point. And I guess the question is, what does the starting point mean for dealers? And well, it means getting your cars in front of the right buyers at the right time. When the vehicle is in the right way, it gives users, presented in the right way, it gives users the confidence and to reach out and to place that inquiry. So we're pretty confident with the starting point that we can drive great volume and response, and then it's about continuous effort from that launch day.
And Barry, staying with dealers, which specific features do you think are going to resonate with dealers?
There's a lot to be said for doing the basics and doing it really, really well. But post launch, we'll be scaling up the site to become what we would define as a best in class player. So fully functioning marketplace with all of the features that you would expect in a marketplace. We've built both the app and the web technology from the ground up. We've incorporated SEO best practices from day one. We believe this will position us well for accelerated growth. We've worked on an array of both top and bottom funnel features to not only bring in new users, but also to build a sticky platform.
And Barry, what have you learned from the Cazoo Marketplace app that you launched last year when it came to launching this all new website? What were the lessons learned?
So the app has been crucial to our journey, allowing us to continue to build brand affinity, test marketing campaigns, and start driving leads for dealers from the Cazoo brand. We now hit over 1 million downloads, but I would say more importantly, the entire funnel in the app is very, very healthy in terms of how it performs, how it converts. Feedback and ratings have been excellent. The app is sticky. The Cazoo audience is highly engaged. Users are converting to safe search. They're shortlisting cars, and conversion to leads is at a higher rate than I've witnessed in other marketplace brands that I've been part of. So we're really pleased with the app's progress. It offers omni-channel experience for consumers, where they're highly involved in terms of the car search and can quickly flick between the app and the web depending on their behavior and their environment. So I'm really pleased with the progress the app has made, and I still firmly believe that we're at the start of our journey.
And Phil, I mean, thinking about the relaunching of the Cazoo by offering free listings to dealers with multi-site packages, but you've got ambitious plans to use Cazoo to drive revenue for the parent brand. I mean, how does something that giving it for free turns into revenue?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, so Cazoo effectively gets added to our network as a default. So there's no initial charge for dealers getting this additional visibility. Likewise, we have to be realistic and say, the website will launch. It's not going to immediately have millions of visits. It's something that's going to build, and so we have to be mindful for that. Vibrancy of the website. So having listings and having features and having things that consumers can engage in is really, really important to us. It's part of what we call the flywheel, to make sure if we've got people using the site and engaging in it, we know that will translate into response for dealers. quite simply, our commercial strategy, is to grow, and we plan to do that by generating more leads for more dealers. We believe that's the very simple way that we will generate revenue in the long term. So by being successful for our dealers, we believe we can be successful. And the automotive industry is particularly humbling. Dealers are very quick to tell you if you're not doing the right things. So we have to respond to that. So we're going to, our pricing has always been based on partnership, and we're going to invest further in that, basically making it really clear that our success translates into their success, and we can share in those rewards together. We're setting ourselves some targets to be easier to work with. We've done a lot of investment in customer service and account management and technology over the years, and that kind of keeps going. It's not just the front end shop window stuff; it's also the back office, and then try and be more useful with the service that we provide. So our partnership with Cazoo, which has resulted in our market check tool. How can we provide great value advertising, great exposure across the internet, but also be a useful partner in terms of helping dealers know how to present their listings in the most efficient way. So as a challenger, I think it's really important that we acknowledge that we will grow by being demonstrably helpful and valuable to our dealers.
Yeah, like you say, that partnership, that ease and usefulness coming together to grow and help your dealers. And I suppose as part of this, how will you be driving response?
Yep. So, that is the name of the game, right? It's the whole reason we're doing all of this is to generate more leads. We've got a fantastic base with Motors, eBay, Gumtree, Parkers, generating response. And, we now need to sort of chuck a load of steroids at Cazoo so that it can kind of hit the ground running and keep building that response. So as Barry said, one of the most important things, not very sexy, but it's really, really important. We've built this with SEO best practice. We built it with some fundamentally strong technical foundations, which we believe will allow it to build an SEO record and volumes of traffic pretty quickly. We'll invest significant sums into performance marketing. Remember, the stuff we do with Motors, we know this stuff really well, and we know how to optimize and generate response quickly. We'll be kickstarting major PR and advertising campaign as well to support that, and also leveraging some of our high visibility sponsorships, as well as taking on a few additional sponsorships and influencer collaborations, basically just get the visibility out there. We don't think we need to be sponsoring multiple football teams and on the side of every bus, but we take this seriously and are investing significant amounts sustainably this time to support Cazoo, whilst also making sure that we're generating the leads we need from the rest of the network, because ultimately we'll be judged on the overall response we deliver for dealers. So yeah, really exciting times.
And Barry, following on from that, how will you be getting the word out there over the coming weeks and months to both dealers and car buyers that Cazoo is back, but now as a marketplace? And judging by what Phil just said there, it doesn't look as though we can expect the same scale of marketing activity as the old Cazoo.
Yeah, I think Phil has summed up well, I think, what we'll be investing into and what that will look like. These are different times, and this is a different business model. Our investment will be grounded in sustainable marketing practices backed by the knowledge we've gained and the learnings from driving leads through Motors over the last over many years.
And Barry, just looking to the future, and final question for you, where do you want to see Cazoo over the next 12 months and the next 5 years? Where would you like to see it?
I can definitely answer the next 12 months with higher conviction than I can the next 5 years. But I think in the next 12 months, our plan is for Cazoo to take a leadership position in our brand portfolio and to drive the lion's share of growth for our business. Cazoo should be an undisputed number 2 challenger and a very, very viable alternative for dealers when it comes to sourcing leads when it comes to sourcing both volume and quality of leads. Longer term, our vision is to continue being a partner for the dealer community and to help dealers grow as well as driving Cazoo forward as a destination of choice for consumers and their mobility needs. Now, I think it's always hard to put a definitive kind of summary in terms of where you want to be in 5 years, but we know what good looks like for the next 12 months and directionally where we're going longer term. And I think that's pretty much the idea for now.
Well, I mean, huge thank you both to yourself, Barry, and you, Phil, for coming on to the Motor Trade Radio podcast and sharing your plans for Cazoo going forward. And I mean, the main thing, if any dealers listening to today's show want to know more about how they can get involved, what's the best way for them to contact yourselves?
Yeah, no worries. I mean, feel free to make contact with the Motors team on our LinkedIn page or hunt Barry or I down on LinkedIn. And also, we have a specific dealer website, dealer.motors.co.uk. But, put the bat signal out there and we'll be there to talk about helping your dealership.
Well, many thanks to both you, Barry and Phil, for coming on to today's show. We wish you luck with the launch of the new website. And thank you for joining us for this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special episode, which has been dedicated to motors.
Thank you for listening to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special, presented by Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson.